I don't know what other people mean when they say open web. When I think about it, I think about people with open attitudes using the web to sort of enact those attitudes. So this could mean collaborating with others online. It could mean communicating with someone online. It could mean making our work available to others online. And it's in any way, and I'll accept any way of doing that. And I think openness exists outside of the web, so that the web isn't necessary for openness. You can have an open attitude and you can have open sharing and all of that in ways that don't involve the web. But if you're going to use it with the web, then that's one way of being open. So I think the open web matters for social justice reasons, and I think that the open web has the potential to break down a lot of barriers of time and space across boundaries and borders in ways that other forms of open don't necessarily have. But I think even with these social justice intentions and purposes, a lot of times the web isn't equally accessible to all of us and not to those who are more vulnerable. And so I think we need to keep all of that in mind. I think there are a lot of ways in which people who normally wouldn't have a voice or wouldn't have the ability to participate in something are able to do so because of the web. But also, I think for whoever can use it for whatever purposes they can, I think it's always useful to find ways to use the open web when you can. Open. And one example of openness that I mean I'd have to share, but is Virtually Connecting. And Virtually Connecting is this organization that I co-founded, which helps people who cannot make it to a conference attend the conversations and be part of the conversations at those conferences. Usually conferences, when they want to involve virtual folks, they live stream whatever they've got and they just broadcast that, and that isn't the most valuable part of a conference. The most valuable part of a conference is the networking, is the meeting people in the hallways and having those spontaneous conversations. And so with Virtually Connecting, which I co-founded with my friend Rebecca Hogue, what we do is we bring people into a conversation to have the virtual folks and the on-site folks have a conversation about what's been happening at the conference. It's very similar to what you have when you bump into someone, but we schedule it so that people can commit to be there and make it. And this community, it started with Rebecca and me, but there are like over 50 volunteers who help make this happen. We live stream these on the internet. We invite anyone who wants to join in. We have a limit of how many people, so it's not open in that sense, but it's open in the sense of anybody could sign up for it. And there's so many of them that, if you can't make one, you'll be able to make another one. And it involves a lot of collaboration. It involves a lot of people being open and being willing to share their practice. So the people who are at a conference who are a keynote speaker who's willing to give their time to folks who can't be there and to listen to them and to have a conversation with them. The people on site who help organize it and make it work and use their laptops to make it work. The folks virtually who make it work and who announce it and involve other people in it and help them get used to joining that video conferencing type of thing, which we use Google for this, Google Hangouts, just because it's free. But of course, it's not about the tool. It's just about having a tool that allows us to live stream and involve people and record it and then have it available to people in most countries of the world. Having said all this, whenever we talk about open as if it's a panacea, it's not, and Virtually Connecting is a good example of that. So Google works on YouTube, and there are some countries that don't have YouTube altogether. It's banned. There are some countries where the internet bandwidth is so bad that someone can't join into a video conversation. There are people who have the internet and the bandwidth and everything, but that's not the way they want to connect online. They're shy, they don't want to stand in front of the camera, or they join but they feel too nervous to speak because they're speaking to someone who's a much higher profile person than them. And so just because you design something to be open and inclusive doesn't mean it will include everyone. People with certain disabilities, like if you have a hearing disability, you wouldn't be able to really use this. Just last week, I had a problem with my jaw and smiling hurt. And I was in a session where I should have been smiling because it was an announcement that was something good for me. And just in that moment, realizing that I couldn't participate the way I wanted to participate. So I mean, open is flexible and it's contextual and it goes up and down and it changes and it's maybe not even just a spectrum, but it's multidimensional. And so I think any example of openness needs to be looked at from all these different dimensions.